Hey, Mariah.
Hi, Monique.
How are you today?
I'm doing really well. It's a rainy day, so I'm happy to be in the studio with you.
Same.
I feel like it's cozy in here and just,
Our hearts are warm.
It's a happy place to be.
It really
Warm
is.
hearts.
Yes. This is an interesting topic that we're going to talk about today. I thought this would be great if we could really break down the generations, all the generations that are alive right now. And then
I love that.
Yeah, right before this too, when we were talking, you had an interesting thing where generations, it was applicable, right?
Yeah.
So, because I was like, well, how's this going to work in everyday, practical, do we just do this like when we're doing research, like just around knowledge? But no, actually, you had an instant where this mattered.
I shared a story, without even knowing this is
a topic.
The topic we were going to cover today.
So I think that this is relevant, right? Because we right now are in the melting pot of so many generations.
Yes, in generations where we can like very clearly see how the influences at the time have created a group of people or segment of the population and that has different behaviors.
And the way they think, the way they act.
The way they buy.
I think we should really get into this so we can educate ourselves, maybe our audience, and, give some good, just information from our research.
Yeah, it's super valuable to be aware of in any way that you're interacting with somebody. What are their generational influences?
Agreed.
And we hear them as buzzwords all the time.
Yes.
It's like boomers, millennials, Gen X, whatever.
Right.
But I feel like there's this always what are the parameters?
Exactly.
Who am I?
Wait, what
Where
year
do
was
I
that?
fit?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to kind of go through
Yes.
generation by generation, break it down. What are those parameters, some of those influences, and then kind of dive into what it means to interact intergenerationally.
Yes. So should we do it?
Let's do it.
All right.
Welcome to Heart and Soul, the podcast where we empower and inspire women to lead their best lives, harnessing the power of their hearts and souls. We are Mariah
and Monique,
your hosts and guides on this journey of self-discovery and personal growth.
In each episode, we will dive deep into topics that matter most to you, from self-love and confidence to career development, relationships, and everything in between. We believe that every woman has a unique strength and inner wisdom waiting to be unleashed.
Join us as we cover insightful heart and soul-centered topics and interview incredible women who've overcome challenges, chased their dreams, and found their true purpose. Through all of this, you will discover practical tips, strategies, and real-life stories to help you navigate life's twists and turns.
For whatever season of life you're in, this podcast is your safe space to explore, learn, grow, and possibly even laugh and cry with us. So grab your headphones, maybe your favorite drink, and we'll embark on this transformative journey together.
With heart, I'm Mariah.
And with soul, I'm Monique.
Okay. So Monique,
Yes.
are you going to kick us off talking about generations?
Yes.
We were going to go through starting with baby boomers.
Yes.
Kind of that is like a real turning point in American history. And
Absolutely.
we're really focused on like generations in the context of where we live in the US. And go through each of those. And then we're going to come back around and talk at the end about like more of that intergenerational
How they relate,
connection.
how you can relate. Yeah.
And maybe I'll share my story that I had shared with you. Okay.
And remember, we're talking about the impact of relationships, like you said. So it's not about labeling or stereotyping.
No.
Yeah,
This is all out of like the purest just heart of like understanding people.
Yes, that's exactly
and giving them
what
the
it
grace of like the time and place that they were shaped. Because we were all shaped by our outside influences, no matter what was happening in history, economically.
Yes.
Throughout the world, the media culture, all of that
All of it.
matters.
Yes.
And so we just want to kind of give more context around
Yes.
like what is this breakdown?
Yes. Even parenting styles, right? Like think about how. So, anyways, when we talk about this is really on a broader context, not so that we can like, well, you're this, so that means this. It's just so that we can explain background, right?
And give context.
Yeah. Anytime you go into a situation, you want some context typically. Yeah. So let's talk about the baby boomers.
Okay, boomer. Just kidding. You are not a baby
I'm not
boomer.
a boomer.
But I do find that fun to say to my parents.
Oh, yeah. Anyone who has boomer parents, yes. Or is a boomer. You could say, hey, boomer. Anyways, so they are from 1946 to 1964. Big generation, almost 20 years.
Okay.
So some of their core traits here. They're very hard workers. They're loyal and they're very stable. They respect authority and hierarchy. And they find their definition of who they are through their career. So it's going to be interesting to watch them retire, right? As they're retiring.
Yeah.
Some of their shaping, like what shaped them or what outside influences, think about this. They were post-war babies,
yes,
right? So their parents were coming out of, they might have served. They might have lived through the Depression. They had very traditional family structures.
Yes.
You know, so it's probably going to be ingrained in them to be a certain way on the family front. Technology, that's a no. Early on, there was technology was industry, right? Yeah. Exactly. So some common challenges that they really face are they have a hard time with rapid change. Think about it. They're very traditional, very slow pace, very different, right? It wasn't this that we have. Insta everything is now, right?
Yeah.
They have less emphasis on their emotional expression. So you might notice some, and this is not true of all, of course, but they're less able to go real deep. And that's because they kind of came from a generation where you don't really talk about how you feel. You just get through it.
Well, and a lot of how their tragedy and difficult of the previous generation's experience in war was like, we don't talk about that.
Exactly.
It's too hard to talk about.
Exactly. How could you, right?
And they didn't have the tools we have today to support in the talking about it.
Right. So to connect with a baby boomer, you want to show respect for what they've gone through and what they're just their life experience, right? You want to be clear and direct. So lots of words.
Okay, boomer. Just kidding.
And acknowledge their contributions, like pay homage, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That respect, that hierarchy piece.
Yes. Yes.
The traditional elements. Absolutely. You can think about this in your parents.
Or your grandparents. Whatever. Just remember, they may not have been taught how to process emotions. So for a lot of them, this might be a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is really a good key when we deal with some people who maybe are surprised by certain emotions. And I'm always like, like, what? But then, maybe they were never taught, right? So that's kind of
wasn't the way you did it.
Exactly. That's kind of a synopsis on the baby boomers. So
okay. Well, then we move into the generation that you and I identify with. So the Generation X, so born 1965 to 1980.
Yep.
Core traits of this generation. So the children of the baby boomers, basically. Independent, adaptable, resourceful, skeptical of authority.
Totally.
So the opposite, right?
Yes.
Of like respect of authority, skeptical of authority.
Right.
They value work-life balance.
Mm-hmm.
How often have we talked about that, right?
Yes.
Shaping influence, the rise of dual income households.
Mm-hmm.
So
not
both
that
parents working.
Right.
Yep. Early exposure to technology. Yeah, I can remember that Apple IIc computer my dad brought home. More independence growing up. A lot of just like run out and play.
Yes.
It was fairly safe, secure time.
I didn't really view like my childhood as scary, like going outside to play.
Yeah, and I don't have to be walked everywhere.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Get on your bike and
or we bused. I would just ride the bus.
Yeah. Common challenges, guarded emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
So we're picking up that from our parent generation.
I think we're more in touch with our emotions, but we tend to
guarded.
Yeah, exactly.
Balancing responsibility with personal freedom, that work-life balance, that responsible versus freedom. How to connect, be authentic. They value realness.
This is so true. We actually just talked about this, how our BS meters are really high, and I just don't like not genuine connections. They're hard for me.
I feel like I don't have time for that.
Yeah,
Let's go.
Yes,
Let's get deep.
Yes.
You connect through giving autonomy. So a lot of like freedom. Avoid micromanaging. Yes, please. I don't care to be micromanaged nor to micromanage anyone. So that is interesting because it's generational.
Yeah, and I do feel
this
is I feel like this is why so many of our generation are entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Because we like our individuality, our own autonomy. We'll do it ourselves, but yet the work-life balance is important too. So maybe we won't just like work ourselves to death. Hopefully.
Trying not to.
Yeah, exactly.
And, kind of thinking about often the Gen X had to figure things out on their own. So trust is built through consistency, not words. And if you think about that with maybe now both parents leaving the household for the first time in the generation, now the kids are latchkey kids at home figuring stuff out.
Yeah.
And so that consistency of like, no, this is happening or my parents are showing up at a certain time.
Right.
That's what built that trust, not just saying that it would be okay. Right. I find that really interesting, actually.
Hi, friends. Have you ever felt like your heart just couldn't take one more break? Like no matter how strong you are, this time it's harder to find your way back to hope. So I created Heartbreak to Hope for women who are ready to heal. Not by pretending that they're okay, but by learning how to truly process, release, and rise. In this course, I'm going to walk with you step by step as you reconnect to yourself. You rebuild your confidence and remember that your story does not end in heartbreak. It begins in healing. If your soul is whispering that it's time, visit my website, MoniqueForcier.com, and join us inside Heartbreak to Hope, where healing becomes your new beginning.
Hi, friends. It's Mariah. And while you know me on the Heart and Soul podcast as a serial entrepreneur, you might also know that my latest venture is Josephine's Bridal in downtown Duluth. And let me tell you, I'm loving working there. I've just become obsessed with my weekend styling brides and helping them feel like just their most beautiful selves going into their wedding day. But I wanted to come and tell you today about something very exciting that we have just added to the Josephine's collection, something that I am thrilled to have been able to do within the first year. It's dresses for moms and grandmas and just generally women who want to feel beautiful in a gown. And so if you find yourself in the Duluth area or really anywhere in this region and you want to find a gorgeous gown and have me help you, make an appointment online at josephinesbridal.com. And if you have someone in your life that's getting married and they need a wedding dress, bring them along too. We have a gorgeous selection of designer gowns, great prices, and let me tell you, our experience is unmatched. What I know for sure is while I don't have 100% of my customers' gowns, I couldn't possibly. I can guarantee 100% of the time they're going to have a great experience. So I hope to see you at Josephine's Bridal for all of your formal wear needs. So, though, that's Gen X, where we both felt very uncomfortable.
That's where we're at.
Who we are.
For sure.
And now we get into the next segment.
Yes.
So you're going to share that one.
Yeah. So now we're on to the millennials.
That's such a buzzword. The millennials.
Well, I feel like they're the up-and-coming generation, really. And I think they're the second largest or larger than the boomers, right? That's not one thing we didn't really study as the sizes, but I think boomers, boomers are big, and then I think millennials are second or other way around. Okay. But here's some core traits that they're purpose-driven.
Oh, and say the dates on those.
Oh, yes. I'm so sorry. Thank you. 1981 to 1996.
Okay.
So I have two kids that fall into this.
Okay.
Into millennials. So they're purpose-driven. They're collaborative. Definitely you can see this. I feel like they are good in groups.
Want to work together,
yes.
like a group project.
Yes. Yeah, right. I'm like, I'll just get it done.
No, thanks.
Yeah. They value experiences over material things. I think this is amazing. Mm-hmm. I love this about this generation. They're open to emotional growth and self-development. Yet another thing that I think millennials are soaring at. They're helping us all grow.
They are, 100%.
Yeah.
This has moved in a very positive direction
Yes.
in terms of this becoming. And it's a response to lack of emotional awareness, right?
Yes.
The yin and yang, or the bouncing back and forth is clear in these generations.
Absolutely. And I would say, I think they've brought this into the ethos, meaning that now everyone else is buzzing about it because the millennials have made it a thing, right? So some of their shaping influences would be social media and internet use.
Yeah.
We didn't have that until we were much older.
Yeah.
Right. But they had it.
Late high school, early college.
They're born and it was a thing, right?
It was a thing. Yeah.
They've had to deal with economic instability, a recession, and student debt.
Yeah.
Our generation didn't really have to deal with that as much. And the generation
nearly,
before. Right.
Yeah.
School wasn't as expensive. Living wasn't as expensive. And also some of their shaping influences are they shift toward personal development culture. So interesting, if you value experiences, that means that you're constantly going to be working on yourself and developing yourself, right? So some common challenges though that they share is they tend to get burnt out. They really struggle with comparison culture, which makes sense.
With the internet, social media.
Yes.
Yep.
They seek external validation. Again, probably the same reasons, right?
Same, yep.
But how you connect with them is you need to tie something to meaning and purpose. So give them the why and make it about the bigger meaning, encouraging growth and feedback, right? And validate their experiences without over coddling. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're really, really an introspective, the millennials generation. And they can get stuck in overthinking and self-doubt. So just be aware of that when you deal with them. They're going to already overthink it to death. So you might not need to do that. Yeah, do that for them or invite them to do it because they probably have already come with all of that. But that can lead to burnout.
Right. That's where that burnout tie is coming. And all of this is in the context of employment or work life.
For
I feel
sure.
like so relevant.
So relevant.
Both with working on generations on either side.
Selling to people.
And it's so fascinating. Yeah. Okay. Millennials. That word we always hear, the millennials. But there's a lot to benefit from in that generation that
Absolutely.
I think we need to be more cognizant of. So I now have the next segment, Gen Z.
Ooh.
So this encompasses my kids.
Okay.
Born 1997 to 2012.
Okay.
So they're 2007. So right in
the
that
middle.
Gen Z. Core traits, digital narratives, digital natives.
Oh, yeah.
Digital natives, also narratives probably. And that's just really thinking about how they literally never knew a time when their life wasn't digital.
No.
Or our lives hadn't become digital.
Cell phones have never not been a thing for them.
Right.
Right.
Value authenticity and inclusivity. I love this piece.
Yes.
I love how inclusive my kids and their friends and the narratives that they are engaged in. It's so refreshing.
And I can tell you, my youngest son is in this group. And there is, in my opinion, when you're saying that, I actually see him as the most inclusive of my kids. It's interesting. And I thought maybe it's because he was the youngest, but maybe it's because he's in this generation.
Yeah. They are fast-paced and information-driven.
Oh,
so
so
they've
true.
grown up in a time where you just
fast-paced culture.
Google it.
Yep.
Just look it up. Some of the shaping influences, social media from a young age, the global awareness, more social issues, mental health, how quickly information just got to them through the internet, so that they're more aware of just generally the world around them. And then that constant connectivity. They don't know a world where nobody can call you because you're not at home to answer your home phone.
Right.
Remember that?
Oh my gosh, yeah, your phone should be
The
with you at all
home
times.
phone.
Yes.
Yeah. So some of their constant challenges, anxiety and overstimulation.
No kidding.
Well, no, yeah, there's never a moment where you're off.
Yeah.
You're
and
always on.
with social media being on, yeah. And all the media, yeah.
And that has caused short attention spans.
Oh, yeah.
So that affects you in work, constantly having to
Long projects are hard.
Keep it fresh. And then identity pressure. Who am I? If I can choose, if the inclusivity has changed and I can choose who I am. Who am I? I saw my kids and their friends go through this. Absolutely.
Interesting.
But how beautiful to be able to choose. So, but it doesn't mean it isn't hard. And so how to connect with this group, Gen Z, be concise and real. Much like their parents, they appreciate the realness, right? Avoid overly polished or performative communication. This is the generation who right now is starting college or has been in college for a little bit, but like through the AI coming on board.
Yeah.
And they're the ones saying, I don't want to use AI because it doesn't feel personal. It's overly polished. So that
is really
been hearing that
interesting.
coming out of the college world. They create, in order to connect with them, creating psychological safety.
Oh, huge.
That
And
safe container.
I love this, that they're bringing this, because we should have been doing this all along.
You think?
Yeah.
That, right? Isn't
Yeah.
that wild that
Yeah.
like we have to call that out?
Yeah.
But yes, I love that. This is a group that is incredibly aware, but that awareness can create overwhelm.
Right.
So constantly seeing the light in the dark.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So their awareness is creating overwhelm.
Okay. So the next and the final generation that we'll talk about today, because, new ones are being born every
Your
minute.
grandkids, bringing
My
it right up to Gen
Oh,
Alpha.
That's
Your
crazy.
babies.
Hey, my family covered all of them. Whoa. Just had a weird moment. Anyways, okay.
Put all of you in a room, see how that shakes out.
Jeez. Okay, so the Alpha
Okay.
is the one that's currently now. And they were
Yes.
born in 2013 to the present. Okay.
2013 doesn't sound that long ago, but apparently
It's
there's a
long
whole
enough to-
generation.
And I wonder when it will end, but
Yeah.
Here we go with the alphas.
Where's the transition?
Alpha, interesting. Now, interesting word.
Yeah.
Okay. Their core traits. And I think it's hilarious that you can evaluate someone who's been here since 2013. But this is me being judgy. Sorry.
We are not here to be judgy today, Monique.
know, I'm
These
sorry.
little babies are being born in a time. They're going to have these core traits.
Right. Okay. So they're highly tech integrated. Yeah. My grandson, who's 3.5, kicks my butt on operating a phone.
From birth.
They're fast learners. Yeah. He's also 3.5 and can read.
Wow.
Visually orientated. I mean, think about it. They've grown up with everything.
Just right in front of their face.
Right.
Yeah.
They're growing up in a world of instant access. Even more so, I think, than the Gen Z. Right? No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll never know a world without Instacart.
Oh.
Or Uber Eats.
Oh, that's
They
so
won't even
true.
know. They won't even know.
Right. So some of their shaping influences, AI for sure, automation, advanced tech. So honestly, they can just create at the snap of a fingertip.
Yep.
They're more emotionally aware. Parenting styles influence them.
Yeah. Because
Think about it.
their
Right.
parents came from a little bit more healthy emotional state.
Who want to have emotional safety. That's their,
passing that
yeah,
down.
right.
Yep.
And they live in a global connected world. Think about how much we traveled outside of the country as a kid and our kids. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, right?
Just vastly different.
Completely.
So some challenges that they may face are they have shortened attention spans. They are dependent on stimulation. I definitely see this.
Got that dopamine addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Different
'Cause
kind
they've-
of addictions.
Yes, they've never not had stimulation.
Yeah.
And they're less patient. They're less patient for things that go slower, like processes that are slow.
Yeah.
They just have less patience for it. They
move.
want it instant.
Yeah.
So this is how we can support the alpha. Encourage creativity and critical thinking for yourself. And we think like, well, of course you'd think for yourself because we're coming from the generation where we're like, that's all we do.
Didn't have another
Right.
option.
But for them, they're probably going to struggle formulating their own thoughts.
Because they've never had to.
Right. Because everything's just told. Like, what should I think here? Insert.
Look it up.
Right. Exactly. Balance technology with real world experiences. This one, I think, like if I can just go back to my grandchildren, they don't get to watch TV or phones or whatever for a certain amount of time. They literally have to put parameters around it.
Yeah.
And teach emotional regulation early.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
It's a skill that we could all use refreshing, right?
Yeah. So,
but it kids can't just learn to regulate it on their own based on the inputs that they're having.
they actually need to be
have
taught.
to be taught it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a somatic like body thing that needs
Yeah.
to happen, not just like read about it. You have to actually experience it, right? So they're going to be likely the most informed generation. I mean, obviously, but they're going to need guidance. They're going to need depth, and they're going to need resilience. They're going to need all of these things.
And they need to learn how to be present.
Yes, yes, yes.
That concept of in the present moment that even we struggle with.
Yeah, but think about it.
They're really going to need that.
Yeah, right. So, but those are the things we need to teach them. They're not, it's not like we were saying, it's not just a given. So, yeah.
So we've kind of gone through all these generations, and there will be more to come.
Of course.
Right? And we'll find ourselves, of the elders.
What's next? Beta?
I suppose.
Yeah.
I don't really know where the names come from. It's kind of interesting. But it's such a factor in so many parts of our life, from relating as a family, relating to coworkers, or just anybody in the workplace, relating just to people on the street. When you encounter somebody, instead of having the reaction of like, ugh, like, how do you just not know how that works, right?
Exactly.
Approaching from compassion, empathy, and understanding that we just aren't coming at this from the same place of life.
And that's okay. And that's
goes
good.
above you and below you.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Whether it's, encountering a baby boomer and they're struggling to emotionally regulate or just process emotionally,
or even
or
show
work
emotions.
their phone,
Yeah, right.
Right? To your Gen Alpha grandkids, and you're like, you're going to need to learn how to be present and not overstimulated. Like, taking in that context in whatever relationship that you have can immediately give you cues.
Yes.
Like cues on, okay.
Compassion
this
and
makes
empathy.
sense.
Yes, right.
Why you are the way you are. And it isn't because of anything anybody did wrong, right? It just was the existence.
Exactly.
All of those influences. And no parent can control all of it. I think that's a real struggle today for parents of Gen Alpha. Is like you said, like the moderating, the intake, right? You could try forever to keep that kid from television, but it's coming in. This was back in our day, right?
Yes.
Now, like, try to keep them away from a phone.
Right.
You are fighting against a losing battle.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
That also will create its own problems. So that regulation across all of this, forgive yourself. Like, right away, you have to just say as a parent, like, I can't control everything.
No.
And there are outside forces and influences in this world that will just happen. There will be 9/11s. There will be recessions. There will be COVID.
Right.
Think about how much COVID has shaped
these poor
the generations,
kids.
right?
Yeah.
Those are all things that, like, you don't get to choose.
Right.
But you do have to figure out that resilience and
you
how
need
to adapt.
Yeah. And you need guardrails too, like as people who parent them or work with them or whatever, we're going to need guardrails of, here's the boundaries, right? Stay within the confines so that they feel safe.
Yep. Because all of where they've been in life hasn't necessarily made them feel that way.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's interesting just to look back at like since 2000, since 9/11 to today, like what we've experienced.
Yeah.
And how really like that's a lot of trauma too. Even though we think, back to the baby boomers, that was a lot of trauma coming out of the war. We've been in different kinds of wars.
We have. We've had like micro things. But you had a story that was really relevant to this. And real life people, real life thing, right?
Yeah. I feel like every day I could probably come up with a good story now that we started talking about it, right? Of like
it really
just
is relevant.
How much it factors in. But I was recently with some of my high school best friends, and my mom was with us, and we were talking about like it was sort of like relating mother-daughter, and my mom was giving my friends advice on relating to their mothers. And I thought that was really interesting because how often do you you often are talking about this with your girlfriends, right?
Right.
Or with other
And
people
they're the
of your
same
age and generation.
Yes.
So the advice that I could give them was from my lens, but what she could give them was from the lens of their mothers.
Interesting.
And it's different when it's not your mother, right?
Exactly.
So it was really helpful. And I feel like there
Mhm.
was just this like, oh, they hadn't necessarily thought to see it that way,
Oh.
but she could share like, hey, maybe you want to see it this way. Like, have you
Yeah.
thought about this?
Right.
And that moment was, I think, just really, it's really fortunate that we were able to have that. But how seeking that advice, if you're having an issue dealing with somebody from another generation,
Yeah, don't go to your friends.
ask somebody
same.
else
Yes.
from that generation, how should I deal with this?
Yes.
That was such a aha moment.
And they probably really valued her input.
Yeah, they looked at it like, oh, that makes sense because you could potentially relate generationally.
Makes
And
sense.
I think that, I realized, you're it's kind of like managing up in work. Like,
Yeah.
just bitching at your level isn't going to get you anywhere.
That's so true.
If you want to make change, you need to manage up. You need to take the problem to the person above you that can help and get it solved.
Yeah.
And I always tell that on my team. It's like, if you're bitching to your peers, but you want something to change, it's not going to happen here. You need to manage up to the person who's going to make that change. So if you're struggling generationally, ask somebody from that same generation how to help.
And it's fascinating while we're reading through this because my mom's, and the baby boomer, then us, and and then my kids, and then my grandchildren.
Yeah.
I totally can see how the challenges have frustrated me in each generation that is not my own.
Right.
Right?
In your own, you're just like,
I get you.
Yeah, I get you.
Right. Of course you would do it all yourself and be an individual and be responsible. Right. Yeah. But like I was thinking about this, like sometimes my mom has mentioned like counseling and I'm just like, well, yeah, of course you'd go to counseling.
Right.
But it's not something that their generation would do.
No. In fact, I think about this when you really look back and you think about the differences in how we live today versus how just one generation above us. I remember my family talking about like to get a mental health diagnosis, you would avoid that because
there's a stigma.
That stigma, but also remember before you could be excluded from health insurance because of pre-existing conditions.
Yes,
remember this?
Yes.
So if you had a diagnosis, say, of depression or anxiety, that could be a pre-existing condition that could then get you kicked off of health insurance or not be eligible.
Yeah.
Oh my God. How much did we hide because we were afraid of being able to be covered by health insurance?
And I think the baby boomers also, they could be institutionalized by the government. That is not a thing anymore. Now it's all private sector.
Right.
So, I mean, you can be
fear
committed,
around
but
mental health stigma from that generation and older was no joke.
Right. So you just didn't deal with it. Right.
Yeah.
So then
Sweep
fast
it under
forward,
the rug.
thinking to my grandson who he goes to occupational therapy to learn how to deal with his intense emotions.
Right.
And I noticed this just speaking of my own experience. We were watching a show and it was like, and then we put on some rock music and he got so amped up and so excited and so overstimulated. And I was like, oh, we got to turn this off because he didn't have how to regulate.
Yeah. He was missing the regulation.
So just as we've been talking about it, I'm like, wow, this is such a thing. And it's not that I got frustrated, but I was like, why aren't you doing this thing? Or why are you doing it this way? Or, it really helps explain.
Kind of comes back to a topic that we have kind of hit over and over again, but it's this like this balance, this equilibrium, this like idea that like the answer is always somewhere in the middle, in the gray area.
So true.
Because wherever you're in, there's better and worse ways of something existing.
Yes.
So just focusing more on the present moment.
Yes.
But entering it with that empathy. Like, where are we starting from?
Right.
We're all starting from a different place. for all of our different lived experiences.
Yeah, judgment is really the killer of understanding, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if we can just like set judgment aside and just be like, help me help you understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And this at least gives us some context here.
So when you're having an interpersonal, struggle, think about what is that generational component and how can I get help in understanding it, whether it's reading something, seeking advice of somebody else from that generation. There's just you don't have all the answers, and neither do your friends.
Exactly.
Ask your kids for help.
Seek outside of your generation.
I've learned so much from my kids.
Yeah,
they give me so much hope.
Same.
With the capacity for understanding and empathy that their generation has, and the resilience, what they've been through COVID. I just have a lot of hope in them, and that's exciting because I think that Gen X is pretty great too. So we're going to be fine.
I think we're going to be fine.
Thanks for bringing this topic up. It was a really good one today, and I really feel like it was the perfect lead-in that we had that little conversation this morning.
Like, it obviously is a thing.
It's a thing.
Where there's a misunderstanding between generations. Let's have conversations like this so we understand each other.
Love it. Well, this has been another great episode. I love when the two of us get to just riff on a topic. I hope other people love that too and listening to the two of us. We keep showing up to do it because we think we have something to add.
Yeah.
And if you're listening and you've enjoyed the episode, let us know. We'd love that. Share our podcast, follow us, subscribe. Reviews are always welcome, especially if they're 5 stars. We love.
Yeah. If it's less than 5, don't
waste your time. It's not worth it. But yeah, if there's topics that you'd like to hear us explore or explore with us, let us know that too. Yeah, we're always open to dive into different subjects and learn about new things. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed this episode and look forward to talking with you next time.
Cheers, friends. You've just finished another episode of the Heart and Soul podcast. We hope that you've enjoyed the show, and if you've loved it, we would love if you'd leave us a 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening. You can find links to leave that review in the show notes, where you'll also find other resources that we reference on our show. And if you think a friend could find value in today's episode or any future episodes, please share this episode with them on social media. This is one of the only ways the podcast can organically grow, and we just can't wait to connect with you and all of your besties. You can also find Monique and I on our many social media platforms or our websites, and we're going to leave links to those in the show notes as well. Thank you for listening. We look forward to sharing our hearts and souls with you again next time. With Heart, I'm Mariah.
And with Soul, I'm Monique.